Hey guys and girls, it's Blackjack with 396 guitars. We have an Epiphone Flying V on the bench today. I think it's around mid-2000s. Needs some work, it needs some love. We're going to get it put back together, we're going to clean it up, we're going to make all necessary adjustments. And it's got a couple of problems that we have to address right away. Let's get to work. So, beautiful. It's definitely a reissue of what I would assume is I don't know, an old one, a 59 probably. Pretty neat instrument. Right off the bat, the three-way switch is not working correctly. We have all of the pickups are working, but something in the three-way switch. See, now it's working. Before it wasn't. In the middle position it works. The neck, now it wants to work. It was not working. So, although when I was looking at it earlier with the customer, it wasn't working and I jiggled it a little bit and it started to work. So, that being said, there, it stopped working. Yeah, we know there's something wonky going on there. Works in the middle position. We know the pickup is good, but the switch is giving us trouble. The output jack is loose here. The strings are absolutely gacked. I took the truss rod cover off. We're going to take a measurement now. The frets are gacked. The board is really, really dry. I don't think the guitar has been played in a long time. I even see remnants of plastic sticking out everywhere here, and underneath here, and even on the three-way switch. So we're going to take care of all that stuff, even around the output jack nut. There's some plastic still sticking up, but I believe it was 2010. So yeah, it's I don't know, 15, 20-year-old guitar, but we're gonna get it to where it belongs. The truss rod, where is the neck relief? These are tricky to work on because they're not shaped like a traditional guitar. Let me get in the video. Wow, really, really tight. Really tight. Holy cow. Yeah, when your feeler gauge sits in there like that and goes to twang, and yeah, we're not getting any relief, which tells me that the neck is too straight. I kind of knew that when I first met him with the guitar. I could sight it and see it was so flat, it was almost in a back bow. So unplayable in that condition, of course. Unplayable in that condition, but that's all part of a setup. Probably going to knock the tuners out and clean the headstock correctly to get, it's just really, really sticky and not nice. If it cleans up good, great. But I don't think I'm going to go to buffing or anything like that. We're going to address the two issues that we know of here, and yeah, let's get to work. So we know the neck is too straight. I'm really fearful of this thing hanging off the edge. So we're going to try to put it so that it is on the pad, but more inboard. So I know it needs to be loosened. I'm assuming 4 mil, yeah. Let's give it a good half a turn, see what that gets us. I can already see relief in it, so I know the truss rod is working. I know it's responsive. I may actually have even gone a little too far. That's why we measure. If you don't know, measure. Better. It's good enough to fly. Yeah, it's good enough to fly for now. Or it's good enough to Flying V. When we get new strings on it, we're going with, I believe it's got 9s on it. I can't remember. I know I measured them earlier. Yeah, we're going to put 9s on it. It's got 9s on it, so pretty sure I got a set of 9s in here somewhere. Guess I should have pulled some out. Yeah. We'll get to that. String height, it doesn't really matter yet because we're going to do a setup on it. But I think we're going to just look at it. See, we opened it up. It was so flat before. There, it's right at 5 and just over 4. So probably at some point in its life, it was, the string height was set, but the neck decided to do what it, what necks do. So we'll fine tune that later. I'm going to pause while I de-string, and I'm going to take the tuners off so we can start cleaning. But once I get the strings off, we're going to come back and get this out first and see what in the wide world of sports is going on here. Stand by. So right away, you never know what you're going to run into. We have a ground wire sticking up right here. I was going to take this off and get the plastic out from under it anyway. So let's just see what in the hell is going on and why that ground wire would be poking up through a string hole. And this should just pop off, and there's our ground wire. It's just supposed to sit under there as if it were like a fender bridge or what have you, but it's supposed to be in between those two and out of the way, right? Got all kinds of sawdust under there, and that's probably why it moved, because the sawdust was holding the plate from making good contact with the ground wire. And there's plastic under there. Jeez. Yeah. You never know. You never know. You never know. Guitar's got some age on it and some fading, like it's been in a place where the sun can get at it, because well, if it's a 2010, it's only 14 years old. It shouldn't have faded that much already. Probably somewhere where the sun can get at it. Wouldn't recommend that. Yeah, I'm going to clean this up a little bit before I put it back on. We're just going to use our regular cleaner because this stuff is kind of aged anyway to look like it's relicked. Let's just get the goop off of it. You follow? We're not going to try to remove any of the relicking because, well, that would be, what would the point be? Put it on a buff wheel. There's all kinds of shit coming off of it, though. Yeah, you never know what kind of life a guitar has led. I don't know. It probably hasn't been played that much by, according to what the owner told me, or the gentleman that brought it in. I think he brought it in for a family member and is going to surprise them with a brand new cleaned up instrument. So I don't want it to show. I don't want it in any of my string holes. It does come right through a string hole. So let's try not to have it show. I think I can live with that. Beautiful. I say it a million times, you never know what you're going to run into. I mean, it was literally sticking right out of the hole, and not the hole where it came through, the hole next to it. So once we get it tightened down, it shouldn't be too visible. Not sure I like that. I don't think I like that. Nope. I don't want to see it at all. I'm going to try to pull it and hook it around that way so that it's kind of completely out of the way. just get the screws in without moving it too much and get it tightened down. I can see it, but nobody else will. Nobody else will know what that is. I like it. I like it a lot. Well, one problem fixed. Yeah, much better. That ground wire was actually sticking through that hole, in the way of the string, actually. Probably when I pulled the string stubs through, I actually grabbed a hold of it. You never know. I wonder. That needs to be cleaned up. Let's get this guy out of here and see what in the wide world of sports is going on. I'll bet you anything it's got to come around that. Stand by. So what we have here, this is something new. I've never seen that before, where the stud actually comes through the pick guard for the tune-o-matic adjustment. But yeah, well, and it was really, it should move up and down freely in that, so that the pick guard can be lifted out of it. I'm going to bore that hole out slightly. Everything looks really new in here. We have a loose pot, so I'm going to tighten that down. I can't see anything wrong. We've got two loose pots. I can't really see anything wrong with the three-way switch, but it's coming out one way or another. I'm going to tighten up these pots. And get the plastic out from under them. So this is what I would consider a semi-restoration, because there's so much more going on here than just a setup and a cleanup. It's got a few issues, and mostly from lack of use, I would say, but I don't think the guitar was ever set up properly to begin with. There's all kinds of plastic gooey stuff in there. There's plastic gooey shit under there. Same thing we found underneath the V plate. That's all okay. We're going to fix it. We're going to fix it because it's what we do. It's what we do. So I'm going to be 10 or 11. Of course it's 11. Remember, hold your pot from the back and then loosen up your nut. Get your plastic out of the way. Hold your pot in place. Tighten it down. Now, this you want it to be kind of tight, because you don't want to have to take it apart every time you restring it to put this stuff back together. It should have a fair amount of torque on it. Make sure everything's pointing in the right direction. Probably we're going to have more than one video on this. I was hoping I could button this whole thing up in one session and get it back to him tomorrow, but it may not be in the cards. It depends on how far along I get. So far, it's been just one thing after another, cleaning up stupid stuff, excuse me. Got a piece of dust or something in my nose. No, it's not what you think. I want these oriented correctly so they don't hit the side of the... Yeah, a lot of garbage came off there. Lots of plastic. I want to get this off as well. It is not loose, so... This is all par for the course. It's going to be kind of a, it's not a full restoration by any means. I'm not trying to pretend that it is, but some of this stuff I'm doing, see, we got to clean all this up while I have it apart, but This is what I really want to know about. Why is that sometimes working and sometimes not? And I don't see anything that makes me go, why? You know, there's plastic under that too. I don't think that's causing us any problem. Let's see. Let's see what I can see. It is possible that it just needs to be cleaned. And all it is it's almost like points in a car. You know, some of you don't even know what that is, but there are no loose wires, no frayed wires, nothing's touching that it's not supposed to touch. When you flick that, all it does is push and make contact on this one. When you pull it this way, it pushes against and makes contact on that one. And in the middle, they both make contact. So it decontacts one side and contacts the other. I think I'm going to try to get a little nail file and just clean those contacts, and then we're actually going to spray some cleaner down in there. It doesn't appear as though there's anything wrong with this switch. Stand by. So this is the nail file I was talking about, and it's the kind. It's not a file, so don't try to use one that has, you know, like a traditional steel file. This actually has sand laminated, glued or laminated onto the surface. And what you do, this is an old mechanic's trick, and I'm an old mechanic, so I used to do this on the hot rods I built. You want to get it right where they're connecting, and just do a little bit of rub. Probably corrosion built up on those two surfaces that connect together. And you clean it up. You don't have to get overzealous with it. It won't take much. And then we're going to spray it with some contact cleaner. Yeah. That's it. That should do it. That should do it. Contact cleaner. I use the Oxit. It's very benign stuff. It's just electrical cleaner. If it makes you feel better, put a paper towel around it. Well, I got to clean up my workbench after this guitar. I'm making a mess over here. You just kind of spray it, and spray it down in there where the actual switch sticks out. And then work it. Now, I'm pretty sure that's what's going to fix it. If not, then I'm just going to take it out and solder in a new one. I think I have one. If I don't, I'll have one for the next video. I also like to... So I've been shaking this stuff, and it says right on the canister, do not shake. Do not shake. Do not shake. I've been shaking it forever. Can't believe that. I'm supposed to know what I'm doing. Now, like I said, if this doesn't work, yeah, for the cost of a new three-way switch, selector switch, pickup switch, call it whatever you want. Yeah, it looks really good. If I opened it up and it was all corroded, I wouldn't even bothered. I would have just unsoldered it and put a new one in. But this looks still brand new. I just think that it got some goop in front of it. It's working parts. So, pretty sure I'm going to orient it like that. Actually, while I have that out, I'm going to clean this pick guard. I don't want to take everything off, but let's at least clean it up. Let's at least clean it up, right? Got most of the crap out of the way. Now's the time to clean it. I would think. I'm just spitballing. There's some dirt on it. And if you take that some little bit of dirt that's on it off before you give it back to your customer, they're going to recognize it. And that's what you want. If you're not going to clean it up, why not? Why bother go through all this if you're not going to clean stuff? Make it look as good as it can. It's my mantra. That's my way of doing things, my way of thinking. I could be wrong. All right, come here, you. I see a pinched wire there too. I better investigate that. Just saw a pinched wire. And just like these, it has to be oriented in the right direction. On a V, you want it to kind of up and down this way. Maybe a little bit that way. Hold it and then tighten it. Use a spanner wrench. And don't just assume that everything went back together the right way. Double check everything. You know, these are really tiny wires. I don't know who soldered it together on the other side of the planet. Make sure and inspect it well and that nothing popped off. It'll save you a heartache later on because the only way to get that off is to take the strings off. And you don't want to have to do that again. I hope. Sometimes I sound like I know what I'm talking about. Everything looks good, like it's pretty solid. I don't see anything that scares me or alarms me. We cleaned it. I think we fixed that, and for sure we tightened these up. That's the next victim. Let's see if it's going to go in there like it's supposed to. Boy, it would probably be smart too to just so nothing is sticking through. Oh yeah, there's a big schmutz right there. At least around where it goes. So nothing's sticking out from underneath the pick guard. Right? Does any of that make any sense? Okay, so what do we do at this juncture? Guess what? Yeah, we try it before we screw it all together and get moving on. Just to make sure and see, did our repair do anything? So that's the middle position. It's both pickups. Full volume, tone, yep. I'm going to call that. Now it was intermittent, so it seems though when you're cycling it back and forth, it works every time now. So I have no choice at this point, based on what I saw and what I've done and cleaned it up and my experience, that I'll give it back to him. If that turns out to be a problem again with the customer, I'm gonna repair it and just put a new switch in and not charge him for labor. But that's just the way I am. But I'm almost 100% confident that that's all that switch needed. Don't throw new parts at something if you don't have to. You follow? Let's get the pick guard put back on and get the knobs back on. Stand by while I do this. So we're getting a little long in the tooth on this video, and just that fast, you see how quickly things can add up. I just want to make sure there's nothing wonky going on here. And then we're going to have to call it quits on this video because we just have too much to do. I have to get after the frets, the board, take the tuning pegs out and clean the headstock. So I'm going to do all that in a part 2. I know some of you dig on that, some of you don't. Sorry, but that's the way it goes. Everything looks good in there. There's nothing loose. It just needs to be tightened up. And that is pretty easy if you have the right tool. So I'm going to show you the tool I use. And yeah, if you're working on guitars, you should have one. If you have one guitar and you only do a little bit here and there, then you probably don't need it. But I use this thing every day because a loose output jack on a guitar, it's probably one of the most common problems. And sooner or later, the nut will just loosen all the way off and it'll start making crackly noises, which you don't like. That's the tool right there. Goes in. This little part right here goes into the output jack. Then you take an Allen wrench and you tighten it down, and what it does is inside the output jack, it has 3 teeth and they open up and hold. And then you take your spanner wrench and you tighten the nut down. And what that does is it holds the whole thing from moving while you try to tighten it. On the inside, it's not moving at all. I think I'm going to use flat wrench. Where in the hell did I put the flat wrenches? I'm going to say probably it's a 13 or a half. Yeah, sure enough. Well, it's not a 13, it's got to be 12. Well, you crafty bastards. There. Thin wrenches. Now it's nice and tight. And again, whenever you're monkeying around with electronics, double check before you move on. I know I sound like somebody with OCD, but yeah, actually I do have OCD. I don't leave anything to chance. I like that the switch isn't giving us any trouble. That's the position that always gave us trouble. So fixed, fixed, fixed. All this is cleaned up and we're ready to proceed. Proceeding means we're going to have to pause here. I'm sorry to say. We just got too much time on that video. But that's what happens. And I said at the beginning, this is going to be a semi-restoration. It's not a full-on, full-blown restoration. I'm not gutting the electronics, but I do want to pull the tuners out and clean the headstock properly. I am going to work the frets, and I'm going to oil the board to get the frets nice and shiny and polished again. And that in and of itself takes me about an hour just to do that. So we're going to pause there and call it good for part 1 on the Epiphone Flying V. It's blackjack with 396 guitars. We'll be back soon. Remember, if you dig what I'm doing, like, subscribe, and share. It helps me a lot. Thank you.